Welcome to another episode of Video Game Reviews. Today I'm going to be talking about Sweet Witches on the Nintendo Switch. And the reason that I'm doing that, this review is actually in response to a request from one of my viewers. Otherwise, to be honest, I never would have played this game. It just doesn't grab me. Also, and I could be completely wrong here, but I suspect that the person who requested this review was either involved in the game's development or knows someone who was, because I have never heard anybody talk about this game before. There's no hype around Sweet Witches, and so it just seems to me that who's going to be specifically requesting this game other than someone who's already involved with it. But like I said, I could be totally wrong there. And look, it doesn't matter whether that's the case or not. I just like to take this time to say that I am a big fan of transparency. And if you or your friend have worked on a game that you'd like me to review, just say so. Now, it's not going to change my review, but as I said, I appreciate the transparency. Also, now this seems like a good time to put this out there as well. If you're a developer working on a Switch game and you want me to playtest your project and offer constructive feedback, and that can be publicly on a format like this or privately, let me know what your preference is, because I may be open to that. I'd be willing to do that for free, but as such, it would obviously be as my time allows, but, still I'd be happy and willing to do that and offer you what I think would be some really good, honest feedback. Now, if you're developing a game and you want some, albeit very minimal, public exposure for your project, let me know, and, I might do an episode on it. But know that I'm not going to sugarcoat my opinion, and on the other side of that, I also won't be overly harsh. You're just going to get an honest opinion. So if you're open to that kind of exposure, let me know, and I'll be glad to at least check out your game. So with all of that out of the way, why don't we talk about these Sweet Witches? The request for this video came in a couple of months ago, but I just got around to finishing it a couple of nights ago at the time of this recording, so that's why the review is out now. Now, the long and short of Sweet Witches is this. As a class project for school, or a personal project to, grow your development skills, it's really quite good. I could see personally being fairly proud of this game if I had made it with my limited skills. I'd probably show it around to friends, family, co-workers, that kind of thing. However, this show is more about assessing the consumer's options in the flooded video game marketplace and determining whether, in my subjective opinion, a game represents a good investment of time and money relative to other options that are available. And so that's kind of the frame through which I look at games, and that's the frame through which I'm going to be looking at this game. So the fundamental game design is simple, but not bad. If you really deconstruct it to its barest bones, it is essentially a variation on Pac-Man. Even though it doesn't look like that at all, okay, I understand it looks nothing like Pac-Man, but deep down, fundamentally, it's kind of Pac-Man. And what I mean by that is that you move around the single screen levels, and in Pac-Man you're collecting pellets, and in Sweet Witches you're planting flowers as you move along. Now, while you're doing this, in both cases, you have to avoid enemies, which kill you on contact, and in both games, you have a means of becoming temporarily invincible, and in Sweet Witches, you can pick up a few additional traps or weapons to help you out. You have a basic attack that stuns, but doesn't kill most enemies, and you can create a ladder to move between vertical levels. When you create a ladder, the previous one you created disappears. So, as I kind of alluded to, it is a fairly simple yet solid design. So it really kind of comes down to execution for the most part, I would say. And also There's no doubt that playing on standard mode in this game provides a pretty strong challenge. Like, it's not an easy game on the standard mode. However, I didn't find it all that compelling. Pac-Man is actually more compelling than Sweet Witches, in my opinion. Although Pac-Man, to be fair, is, well, I'll get into that. But I attribute that to the fact that Pac-Man is even more simple, but very, very elegant in design. It's just very good at what it does. Also, Pac-Man is more zippy. These witches move around more slowly, and I think that has something to do with why it had me saying, okay, one more game, less than Pac-Man does. Like, Pac-Man's pretty fast-paced, and so pretty much as soon as your game's over, you can be like, oh man, I can do better, one more time. And with Sweet Witches, I might play once or twice in a sitting and then be like, that's enough. On the plus side, in my opinion, Sweet Witches does offer a custom mode. You may be thinking, hold on man, like, it doesn't look terrible. But what I mean is that it looks and sounds very pre-packaged, like it came out of a can. They do list freesounds.org or whatever in the credits, which is fine. I don't care where you get your assets from. That's totally fine if it wasn't so obvious. All of the assets just look and sound very much like, whether they were or not, they just look like they were imported directly from some asset store with little or no customization, which again, like, theoretically could be fine for a personal or a classroom project, but it just doesn't belong on a console, in my opinion. It's like they were trying to go for... It feels like they were trying to go for it, like a super polished PopCap style game, but it just winds up feeling very, very generic here. Now, as I've said, as I've said a few times now, there is a decent concept here. So hopefully the developers grow from this experience and spend a little more time fine-tuning their next project. Sweet Witches normally sells for $10, which is honestly too much under any circumstances. There are some truly great games available for that $10, and if you need some examples of that, check out my top 20 video. There are at least a few games in there that are $10, and they are amazing by any standard. Anyways, look, Sweet Witches is currently on sale for $2 until January 2nd, 2023, which honestly, I think is the appropriate price for this game relative to the other options that are available. And even at the $2 price, there are better games and worse games, to be fair. I honestly just don't recommend this at all. I'm not trying to be mean. It's just like I say, there are other options for your time and money. Unless you just feel like donating a couple of dollars to a small studio. Which is fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but anyways, look, that's it for this one. Thank you for watching, and please click subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.